Hello and welcome to any given... Wait, hold on. Okay. I had a title. What was the title? You want to give us the intro song again, Kevin?
Yeah, let's roll.
What was the title? And I'll be thinking about this. Now, what was that title? Fuck. Hello and welcome to Cloudy with a Chance of Birds. I'm your host, Spencer Crittenden, and welcome back to the #1 podcast celebration spectacular, celebrating the one, the only, the historical Sully Day. That's right, folks. Today is Sully Day, the day that Chesley B. Sullenberger flew that fateful plane into the Hudson River because of birds. They're the birds. They hit the plane. A second plane has struck the. No, wait, no. A second bird has struck. Fuck. You know, that second plane wouldn't have hit the tower if Sully was flying. I'll tell you that much. You know. But that's right, folks. Sully Sullenberger, he did it. He did it today. You know, Tom Hanks is a different person, but he played Sully in the movie. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's imagine how many souls would have been lost otherwise. On that fateful day. It's crazy. You know, Sully, he's an American hero. They call him Sully Sullenberger, but I don't know. I have this pet peeve, Kevin, where if your nickname is a play on your last name, you can't be referred to as nickname last name. Because that's not why it works. Like the nickname isn't a sub for your first name, it's a sub for your last name. So like if anything, it would be like, oh, there's Chesley Sully or something. But no, again, it's supposed to be like shared. It's supposed to be one word. If you're gonna say Sully, you know, then you don't say Sullenberger. If you're going to say, you know, Sullenberger, then you don't say Sully. Like I don't think you can do both. I don't know. So interesting story. We had the Doughboys on Harmontown once, and Dan introduced Mitch as Mitch Mitchell, and Mitch is his nickname because his last name is Mitchell. His name is Mike Mitchell, and people call him Mitch. But you can't introduce that person as Mitch Mitchell. It's Mike Mitchell, and then you go, so how you doing, Mitch? It's Chesley Sullenberger, so how you doing, Sully? Like, to me, it's insane because it doesn't, I don't know. I think if you say the whole name with the nickname in parentheses, in quotes in the middle, that kind of fixes it, but it's still the same problem because it sets up, you're telling the world that this person's mother named them Mitch Mitchell, which is insane. Like that's fucking stupid. It's a joke. Like it's crazy. But you know, so like I don't know. It's happened. It's only happened a few times, but it's happened, and I'm like, you can't be doing this. You can't be Sully Sullenberger. I'm sorry, you're just Sully, or you know, you're Chesley Sullenberger. I don't know. You know, either way, true American hero. You know, and the only thing that was better than saving those lives was getting, you know, Tom Hanks a job, you know, America's dad, the nicest guy in showbiz, Colin Hanks's father. That's how I think Tom Hanks should be introduced. Here he is. It's Colin Hanks' father himself, Tom Hanks. I think Colin would like that. What's up, Kevin?
Not much. I wasn't expecting to jump into names like that, but yeah, that's good. I was gonna start calling you Crit, but I feel like maybe now that's a little bit misguided.
So I gotta say that Crittenden, that sounds kind of cool. That sounds like a weatherman's name or something, like a news anchor. And I'm Crittenden with your 7-day forecast. I don't know. My mom was a weather woman. Nothing more to say about that. But but yeah, I kind of like Crittenden. That's kind of cool.
It's set up a D&D tie-in too, a critical hit kind of thing. So we can say, I like it.
Yeah, and my family, we always called our family the Critters because it's like a shortening of Crittenden. And then Critical Role comes up and their fans are Critters. It's like, come on, that's my name. You guys you can name the show you can have any title you want, and play off of that. But now you're sequestering Critters, which is a complete, I can't change my last name to make a better name for, my Craven followers, like it's ridiculous. I don't know. It felt like a real bummer. But also whenever I fantasize about a D&D live play podcast that rivals Critical Role, I'm always thinking, how can we play off crit in that way, like Critter's Den, Critical Den, but it's like, yeah, Critical Den gets way too close to Critical Role, obviously. It sucks. It's like, it's not like I'm copying them. I'm riffing off of my name, but because of their existence, it casts a pall over what I'm trying to do here. And that's why there will never be a live play podcast by me, because Critical Role has poisoned the well of my name. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I swear to God, I had like a good pun title for like a podcast that's celebrating Soli Day, something like that. I didn't figure it. I couldn't remember it, and I thought I had a lot
my
more.
Uncle.
Soli Day, yeah. He died in the Nom, right? But not the Nom.
Fighting beside Tom Hanks. Yeah.
No, the Nom. It was your uncle and Tom Hanks. It was basically like a fighting or like a food eating competition, because like people say nom 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 is the kind of idea. I didn't really see. I don't know. I can come off half cocked with a lot of ideas, but you give me time to circle back to kind of edit, come up with stuff. That's why I'm so much better in text than I am talking. I think I can be, I don't know, more myself. Like I feel like it doesn't, my brain works in passes, it's not, it doesn't come out of the gate like this is perfect. It's like, no, here's this shitty version, it gets better and better. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. I'm really funny, but like 45 seconds later.
Yeah.
And by then it's stupid if I say it.
That's how I speak Spanish. I'm really good at speaking Spanish. About a minute after it makes sense to say the phrase that I just recalled. It's great. Anytime, I remember I used to work at Borders, and sometimes we'd have people that spoke Spanish, and I would be able to understand them and kind of help them, but then after they left, I was like, that's how you say the phrase I was going to say in Spanish that I couldn't think of every single time. It was the worst. But yeah, I don't know, man. What a week, huh? Not referencing any single thing in particular. Just, I don't know. You do anything? Last we spoke, you've always wanted to learn the Macarena, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, and I did not do that this week. I've let you guys down. I meant to learn the Macarena, and I still, at my age, still have not learned the Macarena yet.
How do you do it? I feel like there's muscle memory.
There's some kind of like
you go. The thing is, it is kind of like hokey pokey. You go, but like I don't know exactly the timing, but it's like it's hands out. It's flip your hands over. I think it's to the head and then down to your hips, and I think that's when you're supposed to like, hey Macarena, right? Sorry, it just chokes me up thinking about my sister. But yeah, I don't know, man. Did you do anything? You have any notable quotables? Any interesting times? Any interesting meals? You eat anything? Drink anything?
I mean, I am super pumped to try the new Starry that came out.
Oh yeah, you have that, right?
Yes,
we're
I
gonna do
do.
that. Yeah, yeah, man. Starry, man. It's. I mean, Sierra Mist. I don't know. I guess it was kind of the branding, probably, but probably the flavor too. But Sierra Mist, they're like, this is not working. We need Starry. We need a new. But it's like, well, what? It's a fucking lemon lime soda. Like, how many different? Like, where can you go with this? I don't know. I think the problem with Starry has always been, or the Sierra Mist has always just been, who's buying a bottle of Sierra Mist? So it's not going to be that. It's going to be a soda fountain. And at a soda fountain, it's like, if it's a Pepsi fountain, you're probably going to go for Mountain Dew. It's like, why would you go for a Sierra Mist when there's Mountain Dew? I just feel like that kind of has more brand recognition. I don't know. It's maybe more popular. I guess it's like, caffeinated versus not, but
Coke's version of Mountain Dew Mellow Yellow is just the forgotten stepchild of the soda industry. Like, I don't know anybody who's like, yeah, I want me some Mellow Yellow. And it actually isn't bad.
No, I like it. Do you remember Vault?
Yes.
I love
and
Vault.
Surge,
man.
which was around the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Vault was like, to me, Vault was like like a compromise. It's like, well, there's no more Surge. Go fuck yourself. And it's like, well, if you go to Burger King, you get Vault. They got Vault at Burger King. It's like, I mean, that's, yeah, okay, that's, I'll take it, sure. I would drink that a lot. I never really drank that much Mellow Yellow, and I guess I forgot. I must have known that at some point, but I forgot that it has caffeine. Mellow Yellow is one of the things where you only get it at like cursed fast food places. Like Arby's, for instance. Arby's definitely has Mellow Yellow. The one I go to has Mellow Yellow. I only got it once, and then I because I was like, well, I don't want to have any caffeine. It's too late in the day. Let me get some Mellow Yellow instead. It was really the wrong move at the time. It was good though. Mellow Yellow is good. Maybe I should go get some after the show. That could be good. Man, now I actually really want Mellow Yellow and Vault. That could be really good. But yeah, I don't know. And I'm excited to try the Starry. But you know what else I'm excited to try? Soda. That's right, folks. We got the Starry. No, it's too early for that. But wouldn't that not make sense? Okay. All right. No, I feel high, but like high on life. Like I'm not high. I haven't smoked, but I feel like high. Like I feel wrong. I think I might be sick. I hope I'm not getting COVID. I don't know, man. Who knows? So
yeah, I'm a little wired. So when I went to the convenience store by my house to go get some Starry, the manager was there and he's like, oh, why do you want that stuff? That's just Sierra Mist. You know what you need? And he's like, you need one of our iced coffees. And then Whoa. I'm like, no, that's okay. It's a little late for that. And he's like, no. So he walks over and he pours me for the people watching the video, a 44-ounce iced coffee. That was just
like a big gulp or a double gulp size cup he's showing to the audience.
Yeah. And I mean, it was really good, but I ended up pouring like 3/4 of it out because who can drink 44 ounces of iced coffee without jumping off the walls,
Yeah. When was that? Was it in the morning?
It was a few hours ago, just before we started. So it would have been like 4 o'clock.
That's way too late. I think the person who can consume that much coffee is like a working man who's coming into the store at like 5-6 in the morning before a shift or something like that. I think you can work that off
and just sipping it all day.
Yeah, but after 2, it's like no. I mean, even like a shot of iced coffee is like I don't know. I wouldn't do it, but whatever. Other people don't have the same sleep problems as I do. Yeah, when I'm not smoking weed, caffeine really. It fucks me up. Like I'm just like up till like 3 a.m, no matter what. Which is what I'm looking forward to after I get a post-show Mellow Yellow. That could be great to stay up till 3. I catch up on a lot of anime. I've been watching Yu-Gi-Oh! V Reigns, or is it Vrains? Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, where they go into cyberspace and play Duel Monsters on the cybernet. It's great. I mean, it's fine. It's better than the last couple of series. I'll tell you that. It's been really bad lately, but this series is actually kind of being okay. I'm watching anime. Oh yeah, no, I was saying that I think I'm getting sick. I might be getting sick. I don't know. I don't think I am. But who knows? I've been I've been feeling like just the slightest bit lightheaded. Is that a COVID symptom? I don't have a headache.
It could be the flu.
Yeah,
it could
it
be
definitely could be
RSV. It could be anything spreading around right now.
but I don't have any crazy symptoms other than what I would say is mild allergy symptoms, which I just always have and always have. Like it's just I'm basically always kind of at least a little bit stiffly. Sometimes my sore throat on and off, or throat sore on and off. It's just kind of random. I went to this thing. I don't know. It's the thing is I keep forgetting about COVID because no one fucking cares. So it's like it's hard to keep it in mind. It's like being a Christian, I'd imagine, where you have to go like, oh yeah, God's watching. Like it's not like there's no evidence of it in daily life, but there's the new variant is XBB, I think it's called, and that's supposed to be the craziest variant. Of course, it has vaccine mitigation, like everything, and it's not good. But I wear masks and stuff everywhere. The people on Discord are reminding us about sliced soda. Isn't that like an orange soda?
No, that was another. I mean, it came in a few different flavors, but like the original slice was also kind of like a 7-Up Sierra Mist kind of thing.
I don't know if I ever had that. You ever have
that was 80s, I think, right? Let me look.
I don't know. You ever have a Fresca though, like the diet grapefruit soda?
Yes.
What? Are you calling someone? Can we call someone?
A friend?
You should call Abed. Call Abed. Okay, so there's a lot of people that have been complaining about AI art and the AI chatbots and stuff. Not our usage of the AI chatbots, just in general. But what would destroy AI once and for all is like to put it in a room with Abed. I think it would just break down because he's a font of knowledge and information on all manner of topics,
but not in any particular format.
Well, it's not any. Yeah, exactly. It's unformatted. It's like raw data or something, and it's like all these bots are made out of associations and cluster diagrams and stuff. So you get him going for long enough and they're like, I don't know what anything is anymore. It's like, Mount Rushmore has the cast of Cheers on it. And like, I think it would just fundamentally break down. And if Abed, you're listening, I love you. We got to get Abed back on the podcast.
That was probably our most manic episode we've ever had.
Yeah. And I think, I don't think you can have that necessarily all the time, but it's something that, as time has passed, they're like, we kind of need that again. Like I would like that.
I loved Abed on the show, but I think my favorite part of that episode was just this incredulous confusion you had the entire 75-minute episode. Like you just had no idea what was going on, but did not want to stop it.
Yeah, well, that was being me, but it was also me proxying the listener because it's like there's someone that's going to be listening and they're going to be having these questions. So at the very least, I want to give voice to their concerns. If we don't necessarily hammer everything out, that's fine. But, I at least want to give voice to their concerns. But anyway, so this weekend I went to a thing called Anime Impulse. I have this friend, Frank. He's a streamer on Twitch. And we hang out sometimes and go do stuff. Everyone in the world is back to normal. No one wears masks anymore. And so, I'm just like, I'm trying to do more stuff. I just wear masks, but what was it called? Impulse LA or Anime Impulse. That's what it was called. Anime Impulse was in Pomona Fairgrounds, which is pretty far east. Maybe not pretty far, like about an hour east. And, it's on the Pomona Fairgrounds, which I don't exactly understand what those are, other than like they look like are they called aircraft hangars? Yeah, they look like hangars. Those big they're domed, but they're like long. They're kind of like these kind of humps that are extruded. These extruded arches. They're not like lumps or anything, but they have a very specific like semicircular form factor. They look like these long semicircular, like if you cut a can of soda in half and laid it on its side. It was just a bunch of those kind of loosely connected by kind of walkways and sidewalks and stuff. And so it was interesting, but it was absolutely pouring. There's been the bomb cyclone and the atmospheric rivers. And so it's been unprecedented rain in everywhere in California, but it's been like that in LA. It's been crazy. I mean, I like the rain. It's been fine for me. It doesn't bother me, but the thing is, a lot of places, especially in Southern California, but Northern California to a lesser extent, are just not built for rain. Like, we don't have drainage and stuff, which you don't really notice until a bunch of rain starts going. And it's like, yeah, no, these roads definitely should have been slightly inclined and leading through towards some sort of drain. And now that you see that's not what it is, it's like, why did anyone do this? It's just these giant, like 4-inch deep puddles that are like, hectares across. Is that a measurement? Anyway, so it was pouring rain. I had an umbrella, luckily, because we had Ben Meckler on and we were talking about everyday carry. I have a bunch of shit in my car, like just in case. Like, for instance, I have a high vis jacket in my car, or a high vis vest in my car in case, like, I don't know, it's really dark and I have to be outside my car or something, But yeah, so I have a mini umbrella for emergencies. This is the first time I've ever used it, and I was gonna use it one other time, except my emergency laundry detergent that I have in case I go to a laundromat without laundry detergent, that somehow spilled all over the umbrella and made it all sticky with laundry detergent. So I was like, well, I can't hold this anymore. But in the rain, just washed it right off. Like, the rain washed the umbrella off. It was great. But so I was wearing a N95 mask, and the N95 masks, they're not supposed to work. They don't work as well in the rain, or they don't work at all in the rain. I don't know, because how they work is they work by static electricity. They have a charge on them, and that charge attracts light particles, which contain viruses and bacteria and particulates, presumably. But rain and moisture has a lot of charge, and I think capacity for charge as well. So I think the charge just kind of sucks off into any water droplets that are nearby, and then the mask loses its charge. So I was wearing a mask the whole time, but the whole time I was like, scientifically, this is not, great. And it's definitely the most people I've ever been around. It was really packed. But yeah, it was just these multiple hangars that were just like, they were set up with, kind of like with vendor halls and artist alleys and stuff. And I've never been to an anime convention because they're mostly just like fans and artists, like creators that are making like, oh, I made all these paintings of anime characters and I'm selling them or stuff like that. I'm making prints, but it's not like Comic-Con where it's like, we're talking to the artist panel and see why Chainsaw Man got made or whatever. Maybe you get like a voice actor signing autographs or something, but it's not, I don't know. So I've never been to something like that. It was pretty crazy. Everyone seemed like they were having fun, but I'm a real stick in the mud. So I was like, these people all suck. But it was really fun. It was just, I don't know. I on paper, well, no one was wearing a fucking mask. So I'm like, on paper, I have COVID. Like, there's no way I didn't get COVID from this experience. There's no fucking way. But it was crazy. Like, again, like, people were tracking in water into the halls. There was employees who were hired, stationed with mops to kind of mop the water back out of the building as it was being tracked in, but that was not working. In some of the entrance vestibules, there is just like maybe a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch of just water. Like, and these were carpeted. So it's just like absolutely sodden carpet in the vestibules. And then once you get in, it's like this slick warehouse floor concrete cement. And so like, it wasn't as slippery as I thought it would be, but it was definitely a little bit slippery. Like, no one was eating shit, but it was pretty crazy. I don't know. I was with a kind of big group of Frank and his friends. How many people was maybe like 7 or 8, and we walk into one of the main kind of convention hall areas, and man, I fucking hate conventions. The thing is, okay, so I don't get road rage really, but I get like sidewalk rage or whatever. I get pedestrian road rage. I just can't fucking stand it. Like, I can't stand slow walkers. I can't stand people who take up like the whole sidewalk and stuff. And cons are just the worst. Like, people they just stop on a dime in the middle of the fucking thing. And so we start walking towards a thing, and then this big intersection, there's probably about 40 people just standing, not like standing because they're waiting for their turn to move because it's a clusterfuck in a traffic jam, just like, yeah, I better take a spot here, like just blocking this entire intersection of people. and, and I don't know, this is not who I am, in that I don't like directing people or telling people they're doing wrong, in general, to their face, because that's aggressive. And I'm more of a passive aggressive person. Although this is passive aggressive, but we were in a big group and it was loud. And so I was trying to make a joke to my group of friends about this clusterfuck. And so I said, probably way louder than I intended, I said, man, I love standing in the middle of a fucking aisle and not moving at all. And I said it like way too loud. And like immediately someone, like 2 or 3 people instead of me, said like, wow, that was so passive aggressive. And I was like, I was like thinking, oh, wait, I did not. I was just like joking, but it sounded like a direct condemnation of this group of 30, 40 people. But as it happens, immediately the whole group disperses. Suddenly everyone's moving, and I was like, hey, well, this worked. I mean, this was absolutely not my intent at all, but it did work. But so yeah, I don't know. And it was just crazy. So again, there's these shoe boxes, these hangers that were kind of like next to each other with aisles between them. So if you're outside, you're kind of in the rain going between these kind of hangers. And yeah, but they had a bunch of food trucks because they're like Asian and like anime kind of fan kind of food trucks, all and food stands and carts and stuff all over the place. And so then there'd be lines to get into these places in these narrow aisles outside in the rain. And then it was the rain, so everyone's in umbrellas. And so there's just all these umbrellas and no one can like move past. There's this narrow like aisle between everybody, maybe like 2 people wide. So it was like coming and going lanes. And then everyone in those lanes had to like raise their umbrellas super high so they weren't like whacking into everyone's eyes and stuff. It was just like, it was a clusterfuck. I've never seen anything like it before. I stepped in so many puddles that my shoes were just absolutely soaked. My socks were soaked, like in the parking lot, like before I even got in. And then everywhere there was all sorts of stuff. And, they make these plastic things to hide cables, like to cover cables. So they laid cable on the ground and they look like plastic trapezoidal speed bumps that have that the top flips up that you can enclose the cables in. They had those. But those were creating barriers for the rain. So every time there was one of those, there would be like rain piling up to the height of these speed bumps, just making new puddles and stuff. It was crazy. But then I was like, okay, I'm never going to be dry again. Let's just, accept this new reality and deal with it. And then at that point it was fine. I was wearing my basketball shorts and my plaid and stuff. And so I was like underdressed, but I wasn't super cold or anything. It was nice. But yeah, it wasn't just an anime thing. It was also a sneaker expo and a K-pop convention. And then there was also something called the Asian American Expo happening at the same place, which I think was more of like a business fair for the Asian Asian owned businesses, because this was in San Gabriel Valley, which has a really high like Asian population. And so there's just so many things, like it was so many different things. I don't know, it was just crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, who knows, I'm gonna be testing to see if I have COVID. I don't feel like I am sick other than like normal, but when you've maybe caught COVID, then you like, especially me, I'm a hypochondriac. You just go like, oh, well, I have COVID and I'm going to die. And I also probably have cancer. It's just like, I just freak out about everything. But it was pretty fun. It was also, I don't know, it was kind of weird. It was just kind of tacky. Like, because this is kind of like just by the fans for the fans sort of thing. And it's like, but these are anime fans. So they're like weirdos, I don't know. It was an experience. I'll tell you that. But yeah, so I hope I didn't catch COVID. Yeah, because
you're feeling no symptoms right now, though, other than a little.
My throat's sore, but my throat's been sore before I went, so
yeah,
it's not a change in symptoms. The only thing is like maybe lightheadedness, and I was yawning a lot yesterday, which was the day we went. But maybe I was just really tired. I woke up early and we went walking around and I was cold and, I don't know. Who knows? So it could just be normal. Who knows? I certainly feel fine. But hey, maybe whatever happened to asymptomatic COVID? Like it felt like that was a thing. You could be like this silent carrier of COVID and never know. But I feel like after a while, no one ever talked about that. It's like, no, if you don't have symptoms, you're fine. And it's like, and I've also don't think I've met someone who knowingly had asymptomatic COVID, right? What happened to that?
I don't know. I think maybe some of the later strains were a little bit less likely to show that. Mm-hmm. But I know that's still pretty prevalent in young kids, though. Kids will spread it like crazy and show no symptoms whatsoever.
Ever? Like the whole time? I know because all sicknesses transmit before you're feeling sick. Well, maybe not all, but most of them, the common cold, flu, these do. But it's another thing to just your whole course of disease, you never have symptoms. So that's what you're saying happens?
Yeah. For like toddler age kids, that seems to be common.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting disease. I get so pissed. It's just like you go back in time and just look at all this, and it's like, oh, there's this new disease caused by a form of the SARS virus. Everybody remember SARS? Happened in Asia, everyone wearing masks. So what we recommend is not wearing masks. Just keep distance. It's like, no, it's the SARS, the mask. That was like the disease with the masks. It was the masks disease. Like, why didn't they just go, fucking just wear a mask? I don't know, whatever. It's this whole fucking thing. No one's wearing a mask anymore. Vaccines don't even matter. Masks are like the only thing that helps these days. It's like the only thing that fucking works. No one fucking gives a fuck. It doesn't even matter. I wore it the whole con. I could feel like, because it was humid in the air, I could feel like my mouth was like sopping wet just from the humidity of my breath, like being captured by the mask and recirculated. Like, but it's like, it's fine. I did it for like hours. It's fine. Masks are fine. Most of the time you'll never have to wear a mask for like longer than 20 minutes unless you're at work. And if you're at work, whatever, I'm not going to tell you to wear a mask at work. I don't give a fuck. You're there for 8 hours a day. If it bothers you, whatever. But it's just like everybody else. It's like, it's not a big ask. It's not a big ask. I don't know. In other news, I don't know if you heard about this, but AI has gone woke. Have you heard about this?
No. Fill me in.
If you ask ChatGPT to come up with reasons why you should use a gas stove, it'll say like, I'm sorry, but gas stoves emit harmful emissions, and I can't in good conscience recommend reasons why people should endanger their own health or something. And so I'm just like really pissed about how they're on the side of the freaking sicko libs because, the gas stoves are going to get banned. But they're not. Like, that's what everyone's saying. That's the thing, man. Conservatives, they set the agendas, and then it's like we're all talking about the things they're saying, and there's like, so what if a person's pooping in the litter box at school? It's like, didn't happen. None of this is real. It's all fucking fake. And no one ever says that. It's always like, we accept their framing, even though their framing is absurd lies, but absurd lies told for an intentional purpose that playing into those frames is helping them spread, But the consumer protection organization or whatever, which does not, as far as I understand, have the authority to ban products, said, like, they tweeted or something. They said, like, if we can't make gas stoves safe, we can ban them. And, of course, everybody was like, I'm turning on all the natural gas in my house just to own the libs. I'm lighting a match just to own the libs. Like, it's just like, I don't know what you think you're proving, but it became this cultural war thing. And then Biden's like, no one's banning fucking stoves. Like, that was never in the works. That's not happening. I'm saying now that's not going to happen. It wasn't happening. But even if someone else was thinking about that, we're not doing that, which I say ban them. I don't give a fuck. Like, induction, that's great. I think it's bad. Like, whenever I use the oven or whenever I use the stove at my house, I'm hyper aware of like emissions. And I'm like, I wonder how many years this is knocking off in my life. It's not like I don't use it, but like, it's ever since I learned about like that gas stoves cause like really serious health problems, in a wide population. I was like, fucking get rid of them. I don't give a fuck. Induction ranges are becoming a lot, cheaper and better and stuff. And so it's like, we could do that, but that's not on the table. No one wants to do that. But, they're still saying, like, if you don't vote Republican, they're going to take your stove. And they're like, oh, the government, they shouldn't be telling you what stoves you can and can't buy, but they definitely need to be telling you what you can do with your vagina and like your dick. Like that's fair game, but don't you trample on my stove. I turned the stove on, it'll burn your foot if you trample on it. Don't trample on it. It's just fucking, all these people just need to expletive deleted. I would just love, like, that's the thing. If I found a genie, I'd just be like, hey, can I just have a hyper specific genocide, please? But hey, that's me. And that's why, that's what the sicko libs don't want you to hear about is my final solutions. That's not cool. That's not a good joke to make. That's fucked up. But I do think that Republicans are a scourge that will never be worth their continued existence, if you ask me. But hey, whatever. In other news, that's what we're a news podcast now. That's what we do. In other news, the Anime Expo was rained on. But yeah, so last week we talked about the OGL, and this past week, a lot of people who didn't listen to the podcast have been asking me to weigh in. I'm like, motherfucker, I fucking did that. Like, fucking, if you think you can not listen to my podcast and have the audacity to say, like, oh, I value your opinion? Clearly you don't. Clearly you're not listening. This is a great podcast. This is one of the best podcasts ever released. If you're not listening to this, you have some problem with you. Why would anyone not want to listen to this for a fucking hour and 15 minutes? But yeah, I don't know. So what we talked about last week is I had a big open question, which was, why would you make an OGL, right? Because what I was saying is, like, if I was Wizards and I didn't want to punish people for making their own fan-made content, I would simply not punish them for their own fan-made content. I wouldn't have to make a contract that, binds my hands if I later want to sue them. It's like, so why would a company do this thing that potentially gives them less control over something that they legally have control over, right? And what I found out was that in American copyright law, game rules are not copyrightable, which makes sense because it's like, I don't know, you say you have a card game and you say in the card game, oh, to see who goes first, roll a die, the highest number gets to go first, right? If I copyrighted that rule and another game just happened upon, oh, roll a dice to see who goes first, then I'd be able to sue them. And that's fucked up, right? So I get the need to, I think it would be good if there were copyrightable game rules under certain circumstances, but I understand that, like, it opens this giant can of worms. So because game rules are uncopyrightable, there's only specific things that game makers can copyright and enforce their copyrights on. So because they don't have a lot of legal recourse to stop this stuff, they might go ahead with something called an OGL, which an OGL is actually a restriction of consumer rights because again, it's legal to make third-party D&D content. That's legal. It always was. So before the OGL, you could make D&D content, and it wasn't a problem. And after the OGL, you still can make D&D content without a problem. But the OGL is like, hey, if you don't want us to sue you, you should agree to the OGL, and then we will never sue you. The implication being, and if you don't do the OGL, we will sue you. Which is like, well, that doesn't change the protected status of what I'm doing. It's protected. But of course, just because a company doesn't have legal standing to do something doesn't mean they won't. Even if I made my own stuff that was legal, they still could try and sue me because they're scared. This has happened in business before. Vigorous, overzealous copyright enforcement by rights holders. That happens all the time. So, I think they use this specter of legal trouble to get people to agree to the OGL, which itself is is a person agreeing to do even less than what they're legally allowed to do, because because those are the terms of the OGL. It's like you could do A, B, C, and D, and it's like, but technically speaking, you could legally do E, F, and G, and you don't have to sign the OGL. So the OGL restricts you from doing E, F, and G, and only do A, B, C, and D, which Wizards are comfortable with. So essentially, it's a trick. It's a trick that's tricking you into signing your rights away for legal protection over something that you're basically legally protected anyway. It's just, essentially protection from legal harassment, let's say. Which, that was a big piece for me, for it all to fall into places. So, what that means, like in my head canon, my narrative is they made the OGL because they wanted to control the kinds of third-party content that we're making. It wasn't this open invitation. Come on in, creators, do whatever you want. It's like, no, we want to cut this. We want to nip this in the bud and make sure that you only do A, B, C, and D, which we're very comfortable with. And that was the status quo for a long time. Cut to the future, and they're like, man, we're looking at this OGL and we're kind of thinking about it. And it's like, we really had some oversights. We would now like to control E, F, and G, whereas before we only controlled A, B, C, and D. And so that, so that was always my understanding. And again, I like to give credit to people. I know Wizards is a big company, but I know the people who make D&D, the vast majority of them really like D&D and wants what's best for the product. It's like, I don't know. I think this is a holdover from working in television stuff, where I watch a show that's bad or that has flaws, and I'll be all like, yeah, but there's probably something I don't know that's informing this decision. So I'm not going to get furious at it. I'll be all like, we live in the real world with real constraints, and perhaps one of those constraints came into play, and that's why we see this thing. But a lot of fans are like, these fucking pieces of shit, why wouldn't they do this? Why would you fucking not do the thing? And I don't think they're very charitable. But at the same time, I think it's really good to be skeptical of giant corporations, whatever. But so when the new OGL stuff, every time Wizards does fucking everything, people have this giant backlash. People get really pissed. And I hate D&D fans. So like, I think like the D&D fandom, it's full of just the worst people. I don't know if you're on TikTok, there's D&D TikToks, the D&D TikTok scene, dire. It's horrible. Every single post by every single creator on there just makes me want to tear my hair out and shoot myself in the dick. It's just awful stuff. And so I don't jive with those people. I don't share their sensibilities. So, maybe it's a bit of contrarianism as well. But when all this hubbub started, I was like, well, certainly there's a reason here. It wasn't solely evil. Like, I'm sure there was a lot of evil that was apparently all the new OGL came after a meeting that said that D&D was under monetized, and the person who said that was a new head that just came into Hasbro. So this is this new outside entity exerting control over Wizards of the Coast. It wasn't internal. It wasn't Wizards' own people saying, it would be really great if we just made all this money fucking people over. It was like an outside decision. So I don't know. Again, it's like I'm already trying to figure out like what's actually happening. And then all this hubbub happened without the text of the document, which I talked about last week. It was like I really wanted to see the text of the document. And then I did. I looked at the text of the document. It has bad stuff, but it's not as bad as I thought everyone was saying. Because again, you don't have to pay money until you're making $750,000, which again, I think it's reasonable for Wizards to charge some sort of royalty on people making almost $1 million off your IP. That just seems fine to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm fucked up for believing that, whatever. But that's just what I think. But it seemed really clear to me upon reading the text of what they did is they basically had 3 reasons that they wanted to update the OGL. The first and foremost, they wanted to be able to put a stopper on like hateful content, which I think we talked about last week. But makes perfect sense. They don't want Steve Bannon making some sort of D&D game about white supremacy or whatever. That's not terrible. And then making money from people making $1 million, that's not terrible either. And then there was one other thing. Oh, and then the other thing is they wanted to stop NFTs because people were, I don't know if they did or were potentially going to make NFTs. But so like when you read the document, it's really clear that those were the primary intents of the changes to the OGL. And they used language and they had policies in that document that went further. For instance, they said they have the legal right to use anything made under the new OGL, which is, I made on my Patreon, I made a subclass of Bard, the stand-up comedian Bard. It's a Bard that he does stand-up comedy. So he has spells that are like roast magic, and he can roast you and do damage to you. He does fire damage to you by roasting you, And so D&D could, under the new OGL, put that in their book and not pay me money, right? Which that's bad. But it's very common language for platforms to say, we own all the content, Instagram, for instance, if you post photos on Instagram owns those photos, and that's just a pill we've all swallowed. And Instagram could sell a photo that you took on Instagram and just not pay you any of the money. But Instagram doesn't really do that. Occasionally they'll use your photo and other people's photos in like a collage of like, see what's happening on Instagram as part of like an ad campaign, which I think it's fair to say that those people deserve money or whatever, but it's a much less insidious usage that we're going to use you as a free content farm and publish all of your best ideas, And when I read that language, I just thought, yeah, it's the social media thing. It's like maybe they'll post a picture of it and say like, look at this. This is what happened at D&D. So a lot of people got really mad about that. And it's like, you really think someone's gonna fucking like take the picture that you did and say, this is Wizards of the Coast now? I don't know. Again, that could happen, but it's just, it all seemed it seemed like a stretch. So to me, that all, like, a lot of what people were scared about, and let's say rightfully scared about, was language that I don't think was their intent. And this is an example. I don't think what they wanted to do was steal everybody's content. I think that would be crazy. But people were like straight-facedly saying that's what they want to do. They want to take my fan art. It's like, no one gives a shit about you, buddy. Come on, calm down. And so there was an outpouring of support, or not support, outrage online. And D&D this week, they made an email, or they wrote a message saying like, we hear you, we fucked up really bad. We're sorry. We're not going to do this. It's done. We're sorry. It's over. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That was it was just a big mea culpa. But oh man, another thing is, I was reading the document, and after the terms of the thing, there would be a comments section. It would say comments, and then there would be like a breakdown of like their logic, their thought process behind it, and also kind of explaining it a little bit. And that was so cutesy. I was getting enraged. Like they were like, so there's this 3-tier system in the original OGL that's like, if you make under $50,000, you're in tier 1. If you make $50,000 to $750,000 a year, you're in tier 2. And if you make over that, you're tier 3. And they're like, in the comments, they're like, why do we do this tier system? Well, we don't think we could come up with a system that doesn't involve leveling up if we tried. And it's like, you can't fucking put that shit in the document that's saying like, here's the new regime, get in line, bitches. You can't be all like, oh, look at us, I'm so cute. Like, it was so fucking crazy. Like, it was infuriating to read, but whatever. I think, they didn't think people would be as pissed as they were. They probably thought they would read those comments and be all like, hey, this makes sense. But, conveniently for everyone, the documents never really got leaked until like way after the conversation took place. So, people had formed their opinions before reading the document. And those terms, like reading the document, is like, they fucking think we're babies and pieces of shit. But in their new mea culpa post saying that we're all not going to do this. Like their closing statement was like, a lot of people are going to tell you that they won today and that we lost, but we want to set the record straight. We all won today, which is just like, well, just don't say that. It's fine. Like, it's fine. Like, and so then after they said that, people got so pissed, and they were like, "These fucking pieces of shit! How dare they? They're trying to act like this is like a thing a supervillain would say." It's just like, and again, it's like in light of them having the comments, which are the same like cutesy weird language. It's like, what are they doing? There's this weird disconnect between how their actions are coming across and how they assume their actions are coming across. It's really, really funny. But so everyone's pissed. Everyone still wants to leave D&D and still wants to tell D&D to fuck themselves. Even though D&D was like, we're sorry. we're listening to your concerns and we're addressing them completely by not doing the thing we were going to do. I don't know. That seems as strong as you could. That it's like we hear you, but whatever. It's good for the hobby for people to move into their games, whatever. But it's just I don't know. It's just like I was always a bit more charitable. There's a bit of hanging questions for me. I had those questions answered, and the thing just made sense to me. I get it. I get why this happens. It doesn't seem like the evil specter. It's not necessarily good, but it's not the end of days. But everyone else accessing roughly the same information was like, this was horrible and I was right all the time and everything is evil. And I don't know. It doesn't seem like, and now it's fine. I like Wizards. I'm glad they backtracked. I'm glad that they weren't as nefarious as people assumed. I wanted to assume that they were a good, at least trying company. I think the problem is they're just too old and too white. A big part of why they're doing the new D&D edition is that they had these big problems with stereotypes and like world building and diversity in the 5th edition because 4th edition just had less stereotypes for whatever reason, and then 5th edition they had to return to maybe classical fantasy, but by doing that they stepped in a lot of racist associations with orcs and all sorts of stuff, and their attempts to fix those pitfalls were met with, this is just empty, cynical, skeptic, they don't care about this, they're not. And so I think they're just earnestly blundering, trying to do a new thing. And I think that's why they are making the new D&D in the first place. I think like their old edition was so mired in these tropes that when they ripped them out without, the runway to create functional new replacement content, it was just like, well, this just seems like a half-baked fix. And I think they were like, yeah, it kind of was a half-baked fix, but what are you going to do? You kind of have to do a whole new system. So I think they kind of were like, well, let's do a whole new system. So I think this whole thing has been an earnest, good faith attempt to repair these issues with diversity and stereotypes that they have had. And they're just, again, they're just running into the problem because they're all white. And so you get a bunch of white people in the room, they're old, and they're like, this is fine, right? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. And you end up with a race of slave space monkeys in in the new Spelljammer campaign setting, a new race of slave monkeys that used to be stupid, but a race of space elves gave them a potion that made them smart so they would be better slaves, and the monkeys loved being slaves, and they still do, but now they're not slaves because one of the benevolent space elves slavers was like, I'm a good person, I'm gonna let you all free, and they're like, yeah, we're free, but we still like working for less than we're worth, and then one of the pictures of those space monkeys directly looked almost exactly like a racist depiction of a black minstrel show player. Like it's because they're too old and too white. Like that shit's going to keep happening, and because their leadership, they're not going to be like, well, I should probably step down, which they should, they need younger, more diverse blood, and they need those people making those decisions and reading these things before they come out, because they've really stepped in a lot of fucking landmines during 5th edition, and it's been really not good. But, I think that's why they're making the new edition. They're like, let's actually do a new edition that addresses all these concerns, and it's not a half-baked fix like people were criticizing. Anyway, that rant took too long. Hey, anyone at Wizards, you could hire me. I'd be a good PR person. But who wouldn't be a good PR person is Soda. Oh, yeah, you too, Kevin. No, I think you'd be good. Do you have the soda? I gotta go grab it from my fridge.
Yes, let me grab it. Hold on.
Okay, I'll wait for you to grab it, and then you can fill for me as I grab it myself. We didn't get buzz balls, but we're still going to do a buzz ball review at some point. You got it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm going to go grab.
You run off while I introduce this. So we have tonight, we're going to try a new beverage from Pepsi called Starry, which is supposed to be replacing Sierra Mist. And it is kind of a lemon lime. It says right here, caffeine-free lemon lime flavored soda. So it's sort of occupying the same genre as Sierra Mist. Their description of it on the bottle says it's a crisp, clear burst of lemon lime flavor, which could apply to a lot of drinks. But yeah, so this is brand new. This just came out.
Yeah, it
Spencer
just
is
came out
laughing.
like on Tuesday or something, right?
Yeah, it just like I was walking into the store when they were putting the display together.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, I do really love the bottle. I like how light and bright it is, like this kind of neon day glow, kind of green and yellow. It's a great look. I mean, you know, when I was first hearing about it, I was like, who fucking cares, man? It's just Sierra Mist. It's fine. Like, what's wrong with that? But then when you see this, it's like, yeah, no, this is way better. You know, I did get a Sierra Mist. I wanted to do a side by side comparison. So I got that. But do you wanna maybe crack it open, give it a first taste or whatever?
Let me try some. I'm cracking mine.
I got one guess at how it smells. I'm gonna have to think it might smell like a lemon lime soda.
It does. You know what it smells like? It smells like. Have you tried Sprite Limonade? You know that really.
What? No, I don't think I have.
It smells like a lemonade flavored soda, not so much Sprite.
Yeah, I think this one more strongly than other sodas has, and maybe I'm just getting this wrong, but it definitely smells a lot like citrus peel essential oils.
Yes.
Like you get like it really does peel. It feels like freshly out of like, you know, I don't know. One thing you could do is you could squeeze a orange rind over a candle and go like get a little like flame because the oil is flammable. It goes. But you know, if you squeeze the rind into your nose, it definitely smells like those essential oils, and this smells like that. I don't know. Maybe all soda smells like that, but it does feel like fresh and not like.
It smells more like I'm just smelling a lemon, like not
right.
How says like, you know, Sprite or Sierra Mist smells like lemon soda. This smells like a lemon.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's a very clean kind of real kind of smell to me, at least.
Yeah.
You want to give it a taste?
Sure.
Kevin's going for the taste. Kevin is sponsored by Walnuts. Walnuts. Crack them open.
Okay. I mean, it tastes like Sierra Mist, but I think like if you took some Sierra Mist and like squeezed some lemon rind oil into it. Yeah, so Spencer's trying it now. He looks pleased.
Yeah, so Sierra Mist, it has like a really strong bite to it, and then like a lot of water with like a strong acidy hit. I think Sierra Mist usually does. This to me just tastes a lot closer to Sprite. It's not syrupy like Sprite, I will say, but it's more syrupy than Sierra Mist. I think it's like more of like a middle of the road flavor. People have said Sierra Mist like tastes like cleaning product or something. I think that's like maybe just like kind of the scent notes hitting more than the flavor, whereas the flavor is just kind of like this bite and then the sour, like a pretty tart sour, as opposed to like a really strong kind of like continuum of citrus flavor. I don't know, but this is like do you think this is better than Sprite?
I don't know. Like, I think this is one of those things where like it tastes good the first few sips, but I'm not sure if I would enjoy it through the entire bottle as much as Sprite.
Yeah, it kind of has which maybe Sierra Mist had too, but it kind of has a squirt like quality where Squirt is a bit dry tasting. I think it's a little dry, which is good. Which is I don't know. Yeah. It has this really clean flavor. I don't know. It's like it tastes healthy. It's not healthy. It's not healthy, but it tastes kind of healthy. I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can crack open the Sierra Mist. What if it just tastes the fucking same?
It's the same thing. They've tricked us.
It bubbles up differently. So we got the Sierra Mist. All right, let's go for it. Yeah, it's way better than Sierra Mist. I'll tell you that. I never really hated Sierra Mist. I don't know. I would say like the main like body of the flavor of Sierra Mist is like empty. Like it just tastes like cold water. And then I don't know. This is like it's hard to explain because it's like, you know, almost synesthesia or whatever, because like how I conceptualize flavors. But it feels like the middle of the flavor is empty, and then the lemon and lime are pushed to the very edges. And yeah, just you get a much stronger bite. Like I don't know what it is. It's like, yeah. And this definitely, it tastes fake. This definitely like has more candy kind of like syrupy qualities. And yeah, it's way, the Starry is so much better.
I feel like it's a lot more lime than lemon too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing is I don't like that's why I haven't touched the limonade, honestly, is that I'm not really interested in more lemon in the soda, you know. I've had a I feel like kind of recently I had like a lemon soda and I was like, wow, this really tastes like a lemon soda. That sure is interesting. I don't want this anymore. Like, but it really does. I think the lime really goes a long way, you know. Mm, I don't know. I don't know, man. Why would you get this? Just get a Mountain Dew, man.
Agreed.
I guess
Maybe we should try like a mixer of Starry and Mountain Dew. That might not be too bad.
Yeah. You know what we should try is we should try some Starry and Buzz Balls. We should get some Buzz Balls. Buzz Ball Starry cocktail. You know, we call it Starry Balls. Is that? Yeah,
That's
but for the folks at home, Kevin's been laughing and his crisp is eating his laugh.
I have a robotic laugh, apparently.
Yeah, everybody's trying to convince the world I'm not funny. Anyway, check this out. I'm just grabbing stuff off my desk now. It's a can or what do you call this? A jar? A tub? A tub of Manuka honey and Mafura oil in intensive hydration hair mask with fig extract and baobab oil. I got this in the mail. I was not going to talk about this on the podcast because I got this in the mail randomly. And if this was a Craven fan waiting for a positive, outcome, learning, oh, he did get the thing I sent. It's not good to let that person know, I don't know. But I don't know. I just got sent this random shit.
You get random things in the mail a lot?
No, I've gotten it one other time in my life. I'm told that it's part of something that Amazon scammers do. Maybe not scammers, but they just order the products to random addresses so they can give a positive review. Because they have to send the product, but it doesn't matter where they go or whatever. I don't know. That's what I've heard. But so maybe it's just something like that. I don't know. I hope it's not some sicko who's going to do something nasty now that he knows it got through, Has any sickos done anything nasty to you in your life?
I mean, I used to work with this blog site way back, like in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And we had this weirdly obsessed fan that somehow got my home address that kept like coming to my house and taping these notes on the door about how the TV show Stargate is actually a real thing. And they made the TV show to make people who knew the truth seem crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And he would like send these like 5 to 10 page handwritten notes all about how Stargate is real and would I please write about this and tell the world.
Well, did you think he was crazy?
Kind of, yeah. I mean,
he had a point then. It definitely made him seem crazy to have a television show of the Stargate, huh?
Well, and what I think was very validating for him is like in the middle of this series of notes. I mean, this went on for a couple years. Like in the middle of this, there was a Stardate episode that the entire premise of it was that the whole reason, that the Air Force decides to make a fake TV show to throw people off the track, that it's a real thing. So that just completely validated him. And he's like, yeah, they're just messing with me now.
Yeah, man, that's the weird thing about conspiracies. But it's like, I don't know, there is justification to it because there are a lot of conspiracies and people that love winks and nods and dog whistles, like Nazis love fucking hiding Nazi dog whistles and stuff and references in their shit, like there was I think it was White Wolf. I don't know. There was a different RPG system that there was just like straight up Nazi people working there, and they like snuck like 1488 and shit into like some of the numbers of like the system. So it's like, for example, Jonathan fires his Magnum pistol. He rolls this and does that and gets 2 damage or whatever. But it was like, he rolls 4 dice and gets a 1, a 4, a 4, and an 8 or something, and so they would hide these number signals in the fucking text of these RPG books. So it's like there's definitely precedent, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, if you were like orchestrating or involved in a conspiracy, do you think you'd have an urge to fucking like signal it? It's like, I feel like the whole game is to not do that. It's like,
I think that those are two separate things. Like, I think the hiding Nazi symbols and things like that is because they don't really want it to be a secret. This is a nod of like, hey, look how many of us are out there. These things are everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas the more typical conspiracy theories, I don't think it makes sense. Like, if they're going through all this effort to keep it a secret, why give proof? But that's the boring answer.
Yeah. Yeah. But would you want to give proof?
I mean, if I didn't want it to be a secret, yes, I would try to secretly hide proof all over the place, but I don't know that that's really what's happening.
I do think if Stargate was real and that's the problem with that, is like, if Stargate was real, we wouldn't make the show to prove it was fake, right? Because then it's like it's incepting the idea of a Stargate where previously there was none. No one would think of a Stargate. But
his feeling was because like they kept having leaks, and they were trying to cover up these leaks by just saying this is Stargate fan fiction, and this is, anybody who believes this is real just can't tell reality from a TV show.
Yeah, that's
like
super.
It had already leaked. Is their problem? Is what he was saying.
I do think if Stargates were real and I made a TV show to hide that fact, I do think I probably would want to do an episode where the government made a TV show. I think that would be really good. Like, I think in that context, I think I might do it. I don't know, but already that's super contrived because that's not, you're so many steps down the wrong path already. But I don't know. Anyway, folks, what a time to be alive. That's our show. What do we got for you next? So, what show? So Abed did a show, right? Is it just a normal day for you guys?
Abed did a show with Eric Bauza. It was actually amazing. I love.
We gotta get Eric on. Yeah,
I know he's so talented.
He doesn't mean Richard Ayoade. It's really good. It sounds just like him.
Yeah, so we did that. Up next is the Best Channel 101, and then a brand new real life sci-fi. And then today we're showing a repeat of a kind of new thing that Rob's been doing called Primitive CGI Theater, where he shows some of the very, very early CGI in movies and TV and things like that, and kind of showing off like what was state of the art way back then.
Awesome. I got a bubble throat. You can hear that? Can you hear that? I sound like a weird bubble man. Got a bubble throat. This happened my whole life, and I never knew what to call it. And then Dan called it bubble throat, and I was like, it is a bubble throat. That's what it is. Anyway, I don't know. I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/thesixler. I've been playing Sekiro, so if you want to see me play Sekiro, come on by. It's been fun. I'm just finally starting to get the hang of it. I've killed Lady Butterfly. I've killed a guy on a horse. I killed a bull that was on fire, and I killed like an ogre, and I killed a guy that was in a tower that had a bow. So yeah, I don't know how far in the game that is, but hey, it's fun.
You killed a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a really crazy game. My biggest complaint is that you can't punch everyone to death, which is my preferred way of playing these kinds of games. But having a sword's cool too. But yeah, come on by. But yeah, we like to end the show the same way every single time. So as always, you got played.
Starburns Audio.